Searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Your dark hair, but those eyes so bright.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another week of Scheananigans. Kiki and I are here in the studio, and we will have Shamia Morton from the Real Housewives of Atlanta joining us shortly. So if you guys are listening on the day this episode drops, it is Friday the 13th. Are you superstitious, Kiki?
I am superstitious, but 13 is actually one of my lucky numbers.
See, okay, same. And why is it a lucky number for you?
It's actually from my dad. My dad, it was always his lucky number, and I'm a daddy's girl. I don't know, so I just kind of was into it too.
Yeah, mine comes from my mom because her birthday is May 13th.
Okay.
And often it falls on a Friday.
Oh my
So
gosh.
she's always said it was a lucky day.
A whole house full of Taurus women.
So many. And let me tell you how difficult it was yesterday. I was in, and I've had a meltdown like this before, but fully in tears from my stubborn little Taurus daughter who has a stubborn Taurus mother. And oh my God, she had her dance recital yesterday. It was just chaotic. This dance school, that was the last recital that I'm like, let's look at some other dance studios. It's like we get there, the AC is completely off it's just broken.
Oh.
So the entire theater is just so hot.
Yeah.
I actually was wearing this outfit because I just was thinking inside AC, not even thinking. So I had it on for all of like 20 minutes, went home, took it off, put it back on today. Shout out to Rylee Cru though. Didn't realize
so
until
cute.
you asked me who makes this. I was like, oh, it's the same brand as my daughter wears. But anyway, so we get there and there's no assigned seats. So it's just kind of like a free for all. We were 5 minutes early, but everyone else was like 15 minutes early. So everyone's already in their seats. And then it was just chaotic. Then they have them go up. They do the dance. We're trying to get pictures with her after. She doesn't want to do pictures, this and that. We get in the car and we're going to a little after party gathering at one of the mom's houses. And Summer was like, I want some milk. And I'm like, well, you know what? I actually really want to change because I'm hot right now. So I'm like, let's just go home. The house is 5 minutes from where we're going. So we get home. Well, no, first we're in the car and she's eating these little cookies that my mom gave her to bribe her for a photo.
Uh-huh.
My mom gave her the cookies before she got the photo. So I'm like, Mom, you can't say like, oh, let me give you these. And then if we get a photo, you have to say, Summer, take a photo with me. And then you give her them. You don't reward her before she takes the photo. So as you know, I just got a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like crumbly foods in my new car.
As you shouldn't.
But fine. She's eating the cookies. She's happy. And then I see one of the M&Ms, like the chocolate chips, like drops on her dress. So I just reach back and grab it. And then I'm going to like toss it. And she's like, wait. And so I was like, oh, do you want it? Like it didn't fall on the ground or anything. Also, my car's clean. I hand it to her. She picks it up, throws it in my car.
No.
I'm like, oh, hell no.
Why did she do that?
Just because.
Just because.
Yeah, just to be a little shit. And so I'm like, Summer, that is not okay. You do not throw food in mommy's car, especially food that can melt.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at Brock and he's just like, and I'm like, what? And he's like, no, you handled that properly. That was good. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, Summer, I said, say sorry or we're not going to go to Harper's house. She refuses.
No.
One word. Sorry. Oh my God, Kiki, it was a 90-minute meltdown at the house that then had me in tears.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, you got to learn how to regulate your emotions, but also you're only 4. But I was just like, I don't know what to do. So then I'm holding her and I'm just like, if I give you a little bit of milk, then can you just say sorry?
Yeah.
I need you to just ignore. I'm trying every trick that my therapist has taught me. Do the yes or no thing where I'm like, but okay, Summer, like I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Yes or no. That's it. Did you have fun at your dance recital? Do you want to go to Harper's house? Are you sorry for throwing the chocolate in mommy? She nods, and then just, it was like, oh my God. So now I've Allie and my cousin at my house just like waiting. They're like, should we go? And I'm like, no, but I'm like, sorry, they don't have kids. And I'm like, I just need you guys to just chill for a little bit or leave because I need to deal with this. I'm not rewarding bad behavior.
No.
You don't get to go to the party.
No.
But now it's also punishing me because I was looking forward to hanging out with all my moms.
Exactly.
So I'm like, all right, well, Summer, if you can't get over this, then mommy's just going to go to lunch with Allie and Jasmine and you can stay here with daddy. And then it's just like another meltdown. And I'm like, okay, I think like 90 minutes, she's gone through it. She's so emotional. She can't regulate anything. So I'm like, I'm going to meet her halfway.
Yeah.
So I accept a shitty half nod, mumble, whisper, take her to the party. We get there. There's thankfully 2 cupcakes left because she's like, I just want a cupcake. I'm like, I don't know. They might all be gone, you know? And so we get there. She runs straight up, grabs her cupcake. She's having fun with her friends, playing. They all get along great. Then she wants a popsicle. And I said, 1 word, and you can have a popsicle. And she says, please. I said, no, sorry. And she's like, ugh, fine, sorry. And I was like, I will accept that. The word came out of your mouth, so you are capable of saying it.
Oh, my God.
But it was just like, and then I'm talking to her on the way home now that she's calmed down. And I'm like, sometimes I feel like I can fight it all day long. But I'm like, Brock, she's 4. So, go up to your room.
Yeah.
Stay in your room. I'm like, it's been long enough. Okay. Like, let's try to meet her in the middle at least. And so I talked to her again later and I said, that's not okay. And she's like, I know, but this Taurus and the Taurus, the stubborn and the stubborn. I'm like, I'm not giving in.
Yeah.
Because then it's like I'm rewarding bad behavior.
Exactly.
But it's so hard when I just want to be like, fuck it. We'll just go to the party and deal with it later. No, then you're raising a spoiled brat.
Yeah. And then you have a Jax who's never had to be responsible. He said he's never had to be accountable his whole life. So you're like, no, I'm going to make you understand the consequences of your actions.
Seriously. And it's like, and I told her, I said, and one thing that one of the dads actually told me at the play date, he goes, one thing that I do like when my daughter, and it was the perfect place to be. Like I had a full meltdown when I got there because they're like, what happened? Like, why are you so late when I'm 5 minutes away? And I have like 8 moms and a dad. All the girls are the same age. So it's like everyone knows what it's like to have a 4-year-old little girl there. So it was the perfect safe space for me. But then one of the dads said that he tells his daughter, you're not in trouble. And that's one thing that I didn't say. And so later yesterday when we were on our way home, I said, honey, I want you to know you were never in trouble with mommy. Okay. Like sometimes you do things you're not supposed to do. Mommy does things she's not supposed to do. Mommy says things she's not supposed to say. And I have to say sorry. It's okay. As long as you tell the truth and you say you're sorry, you're never in trouble. And she was like, okay. But I was like, that was a good little tip. So
yeah, because saying I'm sorry, I will say that like one of my red flags about relationships, people who don't know how to say I'm sorry immediately, I have to get rid of them because so you got to teach it young. You
got to be accountable. You got to own your shit. And sometimes you just have to say, I fucked up and I'm sorry. Anyway, so that was my
Taurus season is here.
Yesterday, right? I know. There's something, I just did Allie's podcast, which will be out in a couple weeks. There's something with like, Taurus is this and Gemini is that and Cancer and Saturn and Uranus, and all of those things. But I don't remember what exactly she said. I need to listen back to the podcast, but something with Taurus right now.
I love it.
Anyway, so I have been watching Real Housewives of Atlanta to prep for this.
Yes.
And I remembered why I don't start a new Housewives franchise. Because once I watch one episode, I'm fucking sucked in. Then I'm like, well, wait, what are they talking about? Now I got to watch the last episode. Then I got to watch the next episode. Then I got to watch What Happens Live. On top of catching up on that, I recently binged Overcompensating.
So good.
Obsessed.
Need
I got through
season
that.
2, yes.
Yes, they do. And then that movie that we got the early screener for.
Yes, The Materialists.
Yes. I was obsessed with that.
I was too. And like everyone like knows that I am not a rom-com girl.
Right.
But this is like a rom-com that's for people who like rom-coms, but specifically for people who are not rom-com people. Because it's not like a regular rom-com.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put it in that category, really.
No, it had a little bit of like an eerie vibe at times where you're like, wait, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
It was really interesting. The whole time Brock was watching it with me, and then it was getting late because we started it 2 nights ago. And so I finished it last night on my own. But he was like, wait, can I finish the movie with you? And so it was like he was into it too. And rom-coms aren't his normal go-to. He likes the war fight, just like those.
Because it's not like bright. It's like dark and sexy.
Yes.
It's almost like thriller setting.
Exactly.
But a rom-com.
Yeah.
Because I kind of actually thought it was going to be a thriller kind of leading into it. And I love Dakota
too.
Johnson.
I love her.
You know, she plays Lucy, like the main character.
Yes.
And I love New York. So anything that takes place in New York, I'm obsessed with. And I love that she's a matchmaker because
I know.
I feel like that's such a New York thing too.
Totally.
And she's like a smart matchmaker because I feel like, have you ever done matchmaking?
No.
Okay. And I feel like she's the type of matchmaker I want because she's like pragmatic.
Yeah.
She's like, look, people have matches and it's like, you know, not just based on love all the time. It's like, how well are you suited? Like, do you fit into the same social circles? Do you have the same financial background? And I love that it's like almost like a calculation for her.
Right. No, I was obsessed with it. It reminded me a little bit, How to Be Single is also in New York that she's in.
Okay.
And I love any dating movies with her because I just think she's adorable. And the hair, the bangs with the long hair, it's a good look on her. I have to say though, so when I saw who was in the movie, my cousin was also recently just talking to me about Pedro Pascal, and she's like, "Oh my God, I love him," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know that name." And I watched the whole movie, and I'm like, I like go on IMDb because I'm like, okay, that's Pedro Pascal, but I'm like, he doesn't look super familiar to me. And I'm like, but I know that name. I've seen that name. I've heard that name. So as I'm looking at his IMDb, I realized that he's the voice of like a fox in Wild Robot, which I watch all of the time with Summer. So I'm like, oh, that's how I know Pedro Pascal. Not from all of the crazy, interesting things that he's been in, just from being the voice.
Not from like Game of Thrones or any of the other things.
No, none of those. Yeah. But no, it was really good. I feel like it left me with a lot of food for thought on just around the values we place on ourselves and other people and the tangibles versus the intangibles and just how we think about dating.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, dating in 2025 is so different than when we dated in high school, college, early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it was really interesting. And I like to see this part of dating in movies as well, with the matchmaking of it all, because that's a new thing, I think, too.
I do too, and I loved sort of the scenes they were doing where they were just kind of like interviewing the people, you know, who were going on dates and kind of hearing like, this is real, like this is what people really want and what they'll say behind closed doors. Like they act like, oh, I'm open, you know, I can date all kinds of people, but it's like, you don't really want that. What do you really actually want?
Like that one girl, she was like, I just want to start with white.
Yeah.
Technically, I'm open to all races. She's like, but technically, you only want white. And she's like giving that look. I'm like, okay.
And it's like, I know people are definitely saying that for sure.
I feel like the only other movie I've seen that's like matchmaking is Hitch. So this is like the woman Hitch, but it is like a little bit of like a more thriller type of vibe.
Yeah, you know, because it kind of goes all over the place. Yeah. And like at the end of the day, any sort of, because like obviously, you know, she's sort of like, I think, jaded by love a bit because of what she sees in this matchmaking world. Right. So then she ends up in her own love triangle. And look, anytime you're in a love triangle with Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
I know. So the Chris Evans character, oh my God, it took me back to all of the guys I've pretty much dated. It was like, is this Adam's spot?
Are these the guys we're going to hear about in your book?
Some, yes. But I feel like I always just have gone for the broke guys in relationships. You know, the guys that don't have a set career already. But I don't know what it is. If it's like, I felt like with Adam, I wanted to like make him someone. I was like, we started out as friends. I'm like, you're good looking. You should do the show. It's going to bring so many opportunities. And yeah, we all know how that ended. But then when I met Brock, I was like, ooh, he's a gym owner. Oh my God, he has a job. And then boom, pandemic. Yeah. and we're back.
I was going to ask you, have you ever dated a really wealthy guy?
No.
Okay. I definitely haven't.
Yeah, no, I guess that's just not my type. Like my ex-boyfriend who Brock works with in the movie industry, I mean, he's well off, but we were only together for like a few months when I was 23. He had 3 kids. I was a 23-year-old stepmom, but I love it now because those kids are still friends of mine.
Okay.
But yeah, so I feel her on. Sometimes you just find love with the ones who aren't rich.
Yeah, but it was nice to go on dates with the one that is, because I was like, ooh, I like to see this
I
other
know,
side of the
right?
world. Where do you take her to dinner in New York?
Seriously. What is on your dating checklist?
I mean, at this point, I really just want somebody who, and I hate to say ambitious because I need a little more than just ambition. I need you to actually be making moves towards that ambition.
Yeah.
But I need someone who's busy and understands that, like, I have my own life and my own friends and we don't need to be around each other all the time.
Yeah.
But I also need you to make me a priority.
Right.
And, like, always, like, I still need attention and I need to feel girly because I am such an alpha female.
Yeah.
I love feeling, like, dominated, like, behind closed doors, but also, like, have your own life. And so
Totally.
honestly, that's where I kind of am now.
Yeah. I was talking to Janet recently about just before we met our dudes. I have to read this too. I've said it on the podcast. I think she read it on the podcast before Jason. This was like probably 5-6 years ago when she was on my podcast. But do you want to hear her list?
Yes.
For her dating checklist. Okay. No cowboy hats or boots. I'm like, Brock's already. Like, there's so many things on here that I'm like, Brock. No guys named Christian.
Interesting.
No kids.
Okay.
No teacher. No bodybuilders. No earrings. No mirror selfies.
Okay.
Brock literally sent me a gym pic, and I was like, does this count as a mirror selfie? No entrepreneurs unless they're really hot.
Okay.
No bald guys. No dirt bikes or ATVs. No camo, no cops, no Oakleys, no photos holding fish.
Okay.
No cargo shorts, no country music fans, no hoverboards, and no eyebrow rings.
Okay. A lot of those are fair, but a lot of those feel like unfair.
I know, but I'm like, I guess most of these are Jason.
I mean, he hasn't done any of those
He definitely
things.
takes mirror selfies with those abs. I'm sure he has.
He has to.
But the rest of them, I'm like, I don't know. I think that is Jason. So she found her unicorn.
I guess she
found her
won.
Pedro
Yeah.
Pascal, and he didn't even need the surgery to make himself taller.
I know. Look at that.
But if you guys want to check out that movie, oh my God, it was so good. Go see it this weekend. It's one of those movies that I feel like is definitely made to experience in the theater. Yeah. Not in my bed on my iPad, although I fully enjoyed having my own little summer house moment watching this movie. Yeah. It wouldn't let me cast it to my 98-inch TCL TV.
Either.
I was like, damn it.
I know.
But it would be fun for a girls' night out or go with a date. But yeah, I feel like this movie just really opens up so many roads of thought and conversation, and it's in theaters June 13th. So check it out. We're going to take a break, get ready for our guest, and we'll be right back.
Okay, well, as you guys see, I myself am wearing Rylee Cru today. It's not only my favorite brand for my daughter, but I just realized I have some pieces from them too. So it really is for the whole fam. I also was just in Palm Springs this week and noticed that the straw hat she has that she lays out at the pool and just plays around with is a Rylee Cru hat. So many adorable things. What I love is that the Rylee Cru collective, it combines art and imagination. They feature hand-drawn illustrations paired with really beautiful muted tones and timeless designs. I just got a couple new outfits for summer, and this one that has cherries on it, oh my gosh, it is the cutest thing ever. I cannot wait to put it on her. They are also more than just a clothing brand. It's a one-stop shop that caters to you and your children at every stage of life, whether it's welcoming the newest member of your family in Quincy, May, dressing your child in Rylee Cru for their first day of school, or celebrating special occasions in a Nora Lee dress. They have an outfit for every occasion. We just got a Nora Lee dress, and it is beautiful. I can't wait to post it and to show you guys because it is literally the cutest. Visit RYLEEANDCRU.com/shenanigans and use code GOODASGOLD for 20% off your first order. That's RYLEEANDCRU.com/shenanigans and code FAMOUS for 20% off orders of first-time customers.
All right, we're back. Still no guest. Just talked to Shamia, and I think she got the timing mixed up. We said we were wrapping at 12. She thought she was going to be here at 12. So we're going to try and reschedule that for tomorrow. But if we can't, we're still here. So let's talk about, on still the topic of Shamia. She was the word of the night last night on Watch What Happens Live.
Yes.
They said it 12 times. She was a hot topic of conversation.
Well, that episode really, I felt like centered on her. I mean, it was her trip to Grenada, but I felt like, the end of that episode, it really focused a lot on her and what she's going through with her kids and like all of that. It was good.
I know. I have so many questions that I want to ask her. So I hope we can get into this tomorrow, but I also know she's flying out tomorrow. She's like, I'll switch my flight. I'm like, you don't have to do that. I mean, we could always do virtual. It's just. She's
rich. She can switch her flight.
Perfect. Yeah, actually I did the house, the Rolls Royce. Yeah. So did she marry rich? Has she always been well off?
So I don't know about what happened before, but I mean, I know that Gerald, who she married, is well off. And yeah, I mean, they have that, $9 million house that has a name. I think it's like 8 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms.
Yeah.
It's like amazing. And yeah.
What a dream. I mean, when you don't live in California too.
Oh, God.
Imagine what a $9 million house in California would be.
Exactly. It's not that. I mean, it's just like it may be 3 bedrooms.
Yeah. I wonder what Villa Rosa is valued at. I need to look on Zillow.
Probably in the 20s, I would imagine.
Is it?
I would think so.
Damn, because it's Beverly Hills.
Well, isn't it like Bel Air or is it Beverly? Yeah, I guess it is proper
Beverly
Hills. Yeah.
Like Beverly Park. That like really private, have to get a security code, go through the gate area.
Yeah. I feel like you're starting at the 20s.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so Watch What Happens Live this week had Shannon and Drew on. I will say, so I don't usually watch live TV. I stream everything the next day. But because I missed the first episode when it aired of Atlanta last night, I was like, okay, let me just put on live TV because they always air it again after Watch What Happens Live. So I turned on the TV and it was Love Hotel. And I was like, oh, perfect, because I haven't sat down to fully binge this. But I got to watch the most recent episode. And now I'm totally going to watch the season finale because I have to know what happens with Earl.
Well, yeah. I mean, this has been Shannon's dude basically from the start. She has had no other dudes really. Like in the beginning, she was interested, but once Earl was like, I'm into you, she was like, okay, then I'm going to go. He's not my typical guy, but I want to try something new.
So how did this show work? When the women get there, are they all picking from the same dudes? Because I also heard something that Shannon swooped in on someone Ashley was interested in.
Yeah, so they basically just introduce, a pool full of men, and they're all mingling. They have 4 women. They're all mingling, so they find out who they're interested in. Obviously, I'm sure the producers picked certain men thinking they'd be attracted to certain women.
Yeah.
But the women can pick whomever they want, and the men can pick whomever they want too.
Okay. Has anyone hooked up yet?
I mean,
right?
Luann James has been seen coming out of her room, I believe, twice. So I'm pretty sure they have done the deed.
Yeah.
I think they're the only one. Everyone else, I think the next closest person probably could have been Ashley, but she hasn't gone there yet. She's been making out with them. Giselle's been very just meeting people. And, Shannon's been making out with Earl, but nothing more. But he was the first to move into her room.
And then he left.
Because of a hurricane.
Okay, so what do you think about his reaction and Shannon leaving to go out to dinner with the girls? Because I feel like he probably knew she already had dinner plans, right? So it was like, hey, you get settled. I'm going to go to dinner with the girls, and then we have our whole night together.
Yeah. I'm conflicted on this one because if when you go back and you binge this season, one of the things that Earl has told Shannon is that in his previous relationships, he got really insecure about, his girlfriends judging him or these sorts of things. And he wants to be vulnerable. And so once she understood that, I felt like, okay, he was obviously vulnerable in hey, there's a hurricane coming. I'm worried about it. He has a house in Florida and a house in Georgia. I'm worried about it. According to Shannon, she says she checked on him and said everything looks like it's okay, the path, and he said the path wasn't going towards it.
Right.
So she went to dinner. She's dancing on tables.
Yeah.
But then he gets mad because she's dancing on tables, and I guess the hurricane took a turn and destroyed his house.
No, that's not funny.
No, it's
but
not.
it's she's like, how am I supposed to know that a hurricane's moving?
It's true.
It's a storm.
But it's
Shannon storms.
Shannon storms. I guess I see both sides of it because, Shannon, look, I think she would admit she's a needy person. She wants her man to be there. And I think that if there was a storm coming towards her house, even if he had dinner plans, she would want him to cancel and just be there to sit even if everything was going to be okay.
Yeah.
he didn't get that reciprocated, and I think that's why he's upset, and I understand it.
I do too. I feel like I'm such a Shannon apologist, though. Like, she can do no wrong in my eyes, so I will find any excuse for that. And I'm like, they probably had an agreement that she was going to go to dinner, meet after, but then as I'm seeing it, obviously I haven't seen the whole season, so I didn't know how their relationship has progressed and whatnot. So that makes sense. Yeah. I get why he was upset. I don't know if it was a bit of an overreaction, though, because then she's like, communication. And there I am right back with Shannon, where I'm like, yeah, he should have communicated that. Like, hey, babe, actually, I know you have plans with the girls, but I'm really worried about my house right now. Like, can we just like stay and put on a movie and like keep an eye on the storm on the app or whatever, you know? So
I think it was interesting because, you know, all the women, obviously the next day she's really upset about it and she's crying in a room, and all the other women come up and they support her, and she's like bawling her eyes out. Yeah. And they're all on her side, as they should be. Right. But then I'm also just like, is this like I almost feel like reality stars, they do see themselves sort of as like the centers, the storyline, because they're used to it. And so of course they're going to support her in that moment. And I kept trying to think like, but do they see his side in it too? Like, there should be a give and take. And in any normal relationship, you wouldn't want your partner to go out and be dancing on a table, even if someone said it was okay. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I do. I see that as well. So I'm really curious to see what is going to happen next week.
I know. I'm really interested to see like what type of man overall Shannon ends up with, because I think it's like one part of her really wants a normal guy, which is why she was into Earl. But then I also think she really wants someone who understands her life as like a Bravo celebrity, and they kind of need to put her on that pedestal. And so I think it's hard to balance.
It is hard to date when you're on reality TV. I thought it was going to be so fun when I had my single seasons. Yeah. It was not, because when you're dating, like I was talking to this football player, for example, he doesn't have interest being on Vanderpump Rules season 8, was it? I think. Yeah. You know, it's like I would go and film, and then after he'd be waiting at my house for me, or we would go get dinner. And like, that was a person I was seeing regularly up until I met Brock pretty much. But it was like, I'm going to go on a date with, it was not my boyfriend by any means. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, well, who wants to film with me? Yeah. And I remember season 8 asking Richardson if he would take me out on a date, because I had no idea that he was gay. I've known him for years. He was in the closet for a while, and then I guess he was slowly starting to come out. Okay. But I wasn't aware of this yet. Okay. And so I had asked him to take me on a date, and he was like laughing at me like, seriously? Like, no. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and I didn't then I find out he's dating this guy, and I was like, oh my God. I felt so stupid. But like, him and I, way back in the Villa Blanca days, had like went to a movie premiere together and like got dinner and like kind of had a little crush. Yeah. And I mean, now we're like such good friends, producing a film together and all of this stuff. But I just remember being like low-key desperate for someone to take me out on camera. Yeah. And I think that's kind of how the Adam of it all happened, like season 7, because it's like the Bachelor guys, you know, they're desperate to be on camera. So I'm like, oh, Robbie, take me out on a date.
That makes so much sense.
It is difficult, because then also the guys who do want to take you out on a date on camera, why do they? Yeah. Like, is it a clout thing? You know, what's the motive? And so it's hard. And I can only imagine, you know, at Shannon's age with, you know, adult children, but still doing this, and just, it's got to be tough.
Do you think that's why Paige ultimately decided to leave Summer House, because she was going to be in a single season and she knew that was going to be such a major part of her storyline if she had to stay?
That's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that, because she's had those before, but not on this level of her career. I mean, she is everywhere. Yeah. I saw a Tresemme commercial with her last night. Just I was like, yes, girl, get it. I mean, she is the it girl right now.
And I mean, she sees what Sierra's going through, and like, it's not fun, right?
No, I think for Paige, it was the perfect time for her to walk away. Yeah. You know, she doesn't need the show anymore. She's thankful for all of the opportunities, but she's built a full career outside of this. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be the end of reality TV for her, but I think she needs a bit more of an elevated show, like more of a Housewives type of vibe.
And I think she wants something that she probably can have her hand in as like an executive producer.
Too.
I think she wants to be able to control the narrative and all of those things.
That's the hard thing after being on a show for so long, an ensemble cast, a show where you have zero editing control, you're not a producer. It's like, and then you go to the next show, you do want that. And that's the thing with like the Valley. Obviously, I don't have that. I was just a friend. And it's like, is this my next step?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know what the rest of this year is going to bring for me. I'm just focusing on, you know, my book right now and book tour. But everyone's asking like, so you're going to do the Valley season 3? And the answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I don't know if it's the right move. I don't know. TBD. But okay, wait, I wanted to ask you because they brought this up on Watch What Happens Live, but also in the episodes because I haven't watched Atlanta for a few years. Like I hadn't watched OC in probably 10 years until this last season. So I'm like getting caught up. Okay, so Dennis and Ralph, the whole exes of it all.
Yes.
So the housewives are just filming with the other housewives' exes behind their back, and then they find out when the episodes get sent to them, or when, like, how did this happen?
I mean, basically, they knew that the filming was happening, but they didn't know what happened on film. So Drew filmed with Dennis first.
Okay.
But she was just filming because Dennis and her
do
Dennis
music together.
Yeah, he's making an album for her. So they had to be in the studio, and they wanted to show that. Portia catches wind of that. She's thinking, I don't want you with my ex talking about me. It's like any of those things. And Drew's like, it's not about that. You knew that we were working on this album together. It shouldn't be a big deal. So then sort of to get back at Drew, Shamia and Portia go and have lunch with Ralph.
Okay.
Now, Shamia said it's because her and Ralph had done a podcast together. And when she gets into this room, we have questions about that because Drew was on Watch What Happens Live. And she's like, I looked up on Apple Podcasts. I can't find that podcast anywhere. So where's this podcast?
Right?
So.
Just living on Patreon somewhere. Yeah. So I was wondering about that because when I did Bravo effing Bravo with Shamia, they asked me a question about something about filming with exes. And I didn't understand the context. And I'm like, whatever Shamia did was fine. Like I don't know the tea and the lore, but now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna take another break, and we'll.
Hulu is the place to go for your favorite reality TV. Hulu gets real. You love reality TV, right? You know every star, every scandal, every tear, and every triumph. You know who else knows reality? Hulu. That's who. With shows like The Kardashians, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Got to Get Out, Vanderpump Villa, and more, Hulu has reality TV covered. If you're into glamour and romance, things are heating up on Hulu. Catch new seasons of Project Runway and Bachelor in Paradise this summer. And coming soon, catch the all-new reality series Love Thy Nader, starring the Nader sisters. Plus, don't miss an all-new season of Love Island UK streaming only on Hulu. There's so much great reality on Hulu, it's almost too real. Next time you need your reality TV, go to Hulu. Hulu gets real.
Okay, we're back. While we were on the break, I was looking at your Instagram, and I saw you must have posted right before you got here a Justin Baldoni update. So, okay, his countersuit against Blake Lively was just thrown out.
Well, it looks like most of it was.
Okay.
It looks like they have until I think June 23rd to refile some of the charges.
Gotcha.
But it looks like a large part of the defamation, which was like a huge part of it, like, you know, has been completely thrown out permanently, which is wild. And so I'm interested to get more into details because
I'm like, do we know why?
I mean, I know that the judge's ruling, it's very lengthy, which is why I want to read through all of it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the judge just made a ruling saying it didn't, I guess, meet whatever criteria it needed to meet for defamation.
Interesting. And this is like a $400 million lawsuit or something insane?
There was a $400 million lawsuit against Blake and Ryan, and then there was a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times. And it looks like the New York Times has also been dismissed in this too somehow. So that's why, again, I need to see what can be refiled and what can't be refiled because it's kind of a big decision.
Yeah. I wonder if this means a settlement is in the works or...
I don't even know, but I feel like
victory for Blake.
I don't think there can be victory for Blake. I feel like the damage is done there, and I think that she's still gonna have to kind of like go into the shadows for a bit, regardless.
Yeah. Speaking of lawsuits, another thing I wanted to ask Shamia about, but what are your thoughts on Brit suing Bravo?
I mean,
I think I have to say her full name, Brit Eady.
Yes.
Because Brit is
nobody
my
knows
Brit,
her.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, hold on.
You've been watching Atlanta.
Yes.
So. But yeah, nobody knows Brit Eady, and hopefully we won't have to ever know about her again.
Right.
Hopefully she's been disinvited from BravoCon.
Obviously. Like, she had to be.
But like, first of all, like, I've had an issue with this woman from the beginning because everything she was doing towards Kenya, I wasn't vibing with her, and I'm not surprised that this is where she went. But this is just an insane lawsuit, $20 million over, what she's basically calling defamation. And now she's claiming that these photos that were at this party weren't even hers, which is why, again, we need Shamia here, because Shamia was at that party.
Yes.
And if any of those women didn't think that that was Brit in that photograph, wouldn't they have said something?
Right.
It's all so
Something's
weird.
off.
Yeah.
In other legal news, the Chrisleys.
Yes.
How are we feeling about them being pardoned?
I just feel like it's par for the course these days. I feel like this just goes in line. If you kiss the ring, then you get granted certain privileges, and that's how we ended up here. Even though Tiger King has been kissing the ring for a while, and he still can't get pardoned.
Oh my God, right? So I saw this guy, James McCoy Taylor. He posted a video on Instagram with receipts saying that he suggested to Savannah Chrisley that she help, work to get Trump elected, as he might be willing to pardon her parents, if so. So he's now claiming that he's the one who got them out of jail, and that this is all because of him.
Who is he, though? He's just like some guy that's connected to the administration somehow. Like, how would he be responsible for giving
her the idea, I guess? Because, I mean, obviously she was very MAGA the whole election.
Yeah. But giving someone the idea, I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, look, it's Hollywood. It's very, a lot of people think that they give other people ideas, and this is why we have so many lawsuits, right?
Yeah. I have to ask, though, would you do something like that if it meant getting your parents out of jail?
See, like, here's the thing. Like, am I for sale is the question. Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes not, though.
Right.
And I think certain things will never come across as authentic no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to, like, basically destroy my entire brand and career going forward, knowing that the people who like follow me and like me because they know me. And like, if I switched on them all of a sudden, I know they would be like, this is either you're cosplaying for, a joke or,
I did think that would be a really good and fucked up Halloween costume bet. Is like, you bet on a football game or whatever, and then it's like a loser has to dress up as MAGA for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's honestly, I mean, if it were my parents in prison, if it were my husband who got deported, I mean.
But, I don't know. That's why.
Do you do what you have to do to protect your family?
I know, but I feel like, Joe Giudice got deported. And I mean, Teresa hasn't been openly like MAGA, but she says, she was on The Apprentice. She's like friend of Donald Trump, and she still hasn't gotten her husband back. So you kind of wonder, like, when does
she want him back?
Oh, this is true. Well, for her kids, I think her daughters. Well, I don't know though. He's living in the Bahamas.
At this point, they're like adults, pretty much, and
it's probably better to go visit him there.
Totally.
I'd rather go be deported. Deport me to Italy, please.
I know, right? Like, there are worse places.
I know, right?
Not so bad. My sister was just in Italy with Allie for a wedding,
God.
and oh my God, it looked like a dream.
Yeah, I love.
So that's where you get deported. I mean, like, Brock would get deported to New Zealand. There are worse places. Yeah. That is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Oh, I want to go so bad.
But also not really trying to live there full time.
No.
But I would love to have a vacation house, either in Sydney, New Zealand, both, have a ranch, have something.
Yes.
Because it is beautiful. So there are worse places, you know?
Yes, for sure.
What do you think it says about Trump, though, that he was willing to overlook the crimes of their parents just because their daughter used her celebrity status to support his campaign?
Anyone who really does know Trump, and I mean, I'm not MAGA, but I know Trump, knows that he loves to be popular. He's always wanted to be in an in crowd. He doesn't like that Hollywood right now is turning on him, which is why I think he's like punishing LA because they're not his friends right now.
Right.
So if he can find anyone he considers cool to like him, of course he'll be open to it. That's who he is.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, kind of still along I hate talking politics on this show.
It's dangerous.
It is, absolutely, because no matter what you say, you're going to piss off someone.
Yeah.
But no matter what I say in general,
in life,
I'm going to
you're
piss
used
off
to
someone.
it.
I'm very used to it. I'm just like preparing for backlash from the book.
Oh
but
my
then it's
God.
like, what if it's like The Masked Singer, where I thought everyone was going to be like, you suck, you never should have done this show. And then it was like good and positive and saying I got robbed and should have stayed on longer. So
speaking of which, can I tell you, I was at the airport last night and you had given me that hoodie. Well, Mark had given me the hoodie, but he got it from you, I guess, from you being on Masked Singer that says, do not talk to me.
Yeah.
And I'm walking through the airport and most people just like, they don't get it. But this couple was like, Masked Singer. And I was like, you're the first people who've ever gotten it. And then they were like, were you on it? And I was like, no, Scheana Shay was. But we do a podcast together.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love
listen.
that. Yes, Bat lives on forever. But to go back to the little political side of it all. So I saw this post online from Travis Helwig, and it kind of encapsulates, I think, what a lot of people are thinking on this situation. So I'm going to read his quote because I'm feeling like for the Jaxhole of this week, just seeing what's going on in LA with the riots and whatnot, I think this all just kind of needs to go into that category. So he said, the national media is going to call LA a war zone, but the truth is the folks protesting today were worried about their friends, their neighbors, and their community. A few idiots will throw a rock and it'll take over the entire narrative. But just know LA is afraid right now because their coworkers were kidnapped at work, because a guy who sold them dinner was snatched by masked men, and because a bunch of neighbors straight up never came home. As Trump gleefully escalates this with the National Guard, violence is inevitable. But just know this protest started from a place of protection, a place of love. We love our neighbors. We love our family. We love our community. Whatever the news tells you in the coming days, that's the truth. They're going to paint a vision of LA that is much different from that. Don't let them. So the federal government, is mobilizing the National Guard into LA to combat these rock slinging protests, whatever. My mom's texting me last night. She's like, Scheana, it's so bad. I know you don't watch the news. You need to turn on the local news right now. You need to see what's happening to our city. And my mom just, whatever's on the news is just, Yeah. So I did. I watched some YouTube videos last night, but then like the one video I saw, I'm like, oh my God, there's cars on fire. And it reminded me of like the LA riots in the 90s when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But it's not. LA is not on fire. All of the protests are mostly peaceful. And even the LAPD released a statement, which to get a statement out of the LAPD to say things are peaceful, it's fine. Of course, they're going to make it look like it's monster. But I will say this. Stop setting the Waymos on fire. The Waymos didn't do anything to
what the hell?
you. And I don't know if people think that, like, I don't know, Elon owns Waymo. He doesn't. Leave the Waymos alone. I love Waymo.
Yeah. Governor Newsom's office put out this and said, Trump said LAPD wasn't doing anything. Then he praised the Guard, who wasn't on the ground yet. It was actually the LAPD. He just debunked his own excuse for deploying troops.
Yeah.
This fucking guy. And the LAPD is saying the protests are peaceful and managed. It's like, I mean, do you know how fucking out of line you have to be so authoritarian that the LAPD is actually siding with the protesters?
Yeah, exactly. They don't have like a great record when it comes to things. So
no, literally. Even Rick Caruso, who ran against Karen Bass for mayor last election, he said, there is no emergency, widespread threat, or out-of-control violence in LA, and absolutely no danger that justifies deployment of the National Guard, military, or other federal force to the streets of this or any other Southern California city. We must call for calm in the streets, and deployment of the National Guard may prompt just the opposite.
It is. I mean, we're seeing like foreign reporters getting pegged with rubber bullets. Like it's not okay.
No. There was also another quote that said, "It's time to do what is right for our country and state. Undocumented people who are here for a number of years have been contributing to our communities and economy and have no criminal record deserve a pathway to citizenship. I encourage our leaders to have a meaningful discussion to make this a reality." And like, ain't that the truth?
And isn't Los Angeles even a Spanish name? Like the irony
Yes.
in like living in a city that is,
I know.
It's ridiculous.
And I mean, if you want to look into history and go back 100 years, like, wasn't this Mexico? I mean, there's so many parts of the southern part of the United States that were Mexican territory. I know where, like, my grandparents were from in Texas, used to be Mexican territory. That's now a part of Texas.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I also feel like a lot of people don't know that about me, that I am half Mexican, and it is something I get into in my book, which if you haven't pre-ordered it already, mygoodsidebook.com, you will learn more about where I come from and my family. So have you read it yet?
I have.
The whole thing?
Most of it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We're going to have to talk about this soon because I didn't know because the hard copies like aren't going out yet, but we have the digital one. So I didn't know how far you've gotten, if at all. Oh my God. Can't wait to debrief. But without giving anything away, because I don't know how much you've read. Did you get all chapters?
I got most.
Most. Okay. Because there was one chapter that we're holding when the galleys go out, just so certain things don't leak.
Okay.
You obviously can get that chapter, but I didn't know if you did yet. What are some thoughts, without giving too much away, with what you've read so far?
One, I love hearing about you as like teenage you, because like there's so many things I always like am curious about your background, and like finding that out has been really interesting. And I think that will give people so much insight into like who you are today. Also, I had no idea about the Hooters thing. I won't say anything, but that is insane. And that is a crazy story. And like the fact that like, I mean, did they even talk about that on Vanderpump or anything? Like, just like, it's just,
I feel like maybe I talked about it with Brittany because, you know, obviously she used to work at Hooters, and there was one time where we filmed, I think it was a birthday party for Jax at a Hooters, and I was like, am I allowed to be here?
You know, that's like,
that was the thing Christina was saying too. She's like, I had no idea about this, and I was like, chapter 3.
It's wild. And then lastly, I would say, like, for all the girlies like me who like grew up in the suburbs and like just wanted to like live in LA in the early 2000s and like live that life, you lived that life. And so getting to experience it is so much fun because like, I'm sorry, like, I love the hoe days. Like, the hoe days are the best days.
I know.
And just like hearing all the things you did in LA, like it's just fun.
Yeah. I wanted to go more in depth with that, but I'm like, okay, how many guys can I tell stories about and like not get sued or pissed off or whatever? And you know, it has been so long since those days. I'm 40. I was 20 when I went out with my like first celebrity.
Okay.
I had a fake ID.
Okay.
And I do not think he knew that. He was much older, in like his mid 30s.
Okay.
But I don't even know how old I told him I was. I think I was still in college. I was, because I remember seeing a Reddit thread about this, and they're like, I knew Scheana when she went to Azusa Pacific University, and they're like, here's like 10 things about her. And one thing that is so funny, but with the book, is they go, and she was always talking about her good side. And I'm like, that's bullshit. That's how I know this whole post. There were some truths in it.
Okay.
No idea who this person was. I remember more from high school than I do from college. I don't know how that's possible. I didn't smoke weed until after both.
Yeah.
No idea. Couldn't name one professor, but I could tell you all of my high school teachers and like kindergarten through 5th grade.
I'm kind of the same.
So weird.
Yeah.
The most recent years I can't remember.
Yeah.
But when they said that, I'm like, no, that's not true. Because back then we just had digital cameras or disposable cameras. I have so many photos of me on the right side. So when people compare today perfectly glam and lit photo on my good side to a photo from 2007 on my right side, I do look different. I do look like I've had a nose job. I look like I've had some stuff done.
Yeah.
Which I haven't, because I would shout out my doctor.
Yeah.
But when they said that, I'm like, that's bullshit, because I didn't know I had a quote unquote good side until I started doing reality TV and noticed when scenes were filmed on this side and photos were shot on this side that my face just looked different.
And will some of those photos be included in the hard copy book?
Ooh, that's a good question. I submitted so many photos that we had to cut it down.
Okay.
And I think what we ended up doing, they were like, it was in pages of 8. So it had to be either like 8 or 16 photos or however it was.
Okay.
We did like double the amount, because I'm like, I can't put just these few photos in. Like it wasn't enough to, I could have a whole book that's like a whole album one day of like all of my photos. Yeah. But yeah, for this, I'm trying to remember. I tried to get at least one photo of like every stage in my life.
Oh, I did want to ask you too, because you give a lot of also stories I had never heard of from behind the scenes at Vanderpump.
Yeah.
Like, did you have to get permission to say that, or are you allowed to say those things?
So it did have to go through a full legal review.
Okay, and they still said, okay.
There were some things that had to be reworded.
Okay.
I don't think they really made me take anything out, though, to be honest. Like maybe a sentence here, or just like rewording things because the way I said it. One thing, for example, was talking about my mom having a miscarriage. And even though it's my mom, legal flagged that because they're like, well, you're talking about someone else's health. And like, do you have permission from your mom to discuss this? So they were like really in depth with a lot of things like that. I'm like, no, that's totally fine. And so then there were some things where it's like, whoa, if you say this. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say that about that might piss him off, but let's say this instead.
Oh my God, I can't wait for people to read it.
I know. What do you think Andy's going to say?
I think he's going to love it.
You think? Even the John stuff?
I think he's going to love it.
I hope so. We'll give him a copy. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Kiki, for being here and for just doing this kind of impromptu episode when we had, everything so prepped. Yes. Thanks to you for Shamia. Hopefully we can get into that tomorrow, or it might just be another episode of you and I sitting in the studio. But I do need to start banking some content for when I go on book tour, because I don't know how crazy that schedule is going to be. And I'm like, we could just record on the road, but we might not be able to. So I don't know. Anyway, make sure to listen to Kiki weekdays on Radio Andy's Reality Checked, and follow her along at The Talk of Shame, because that is where I get all of my news. I get it all from my girl. And if you haven't already, pre-order my book, mygoodsidebook.com, and learn more about me. We'll be back either with Shamia or just us, or I don't know, maybe solo next week. So we'll figure it out, but see you then.
Searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Your dark hair, with those eyes so bright. They're looking